You know what video game I would honestly love? And if you know of a game like this, please let me know. I want a game that's a little bit like The Sims, but apart from building the houses and managing their lives, you just manage their schedule. Like, I would love so much a video game where all I did was plan the diaries, the schedules, the routines, putting everything together. How are they going to manage when they exercise, when they eat, what extracurricular activities they've got, what they're doing for work? I would love that because I love planning, but I hate it as well. And if you have ADHD, I suspect you feel the same. It is a complete contradictory love-hate relationship with planning. And it's really uncomfortably intertwined with this cycle of like planning, failing, shame, planning, failing, shame, going round and round until at some point you just feel really like, what's the point in planning? Because I'm not going to follow through in it. But that doesn't help either. So in this video, I'm going to talk a bit more about that and also share the main way that I have reframed planning for myself so it no longer feels so heavy and tied to this sense that I can just never be quite good enough at it. So one of the major reasons why I didn't think that I had ADHD before my diagnosis is that I'm really good at planning. I'm really organized. I love planning. I love structuring and ordering things. And so it just didn't make sense to me that I had ADHD. But there were two important things that I was missing at that point. One, planning and structuring had become a massive coping mechanism for me. It's something that I got obsessed with learning about. I had loads of books about like time management, productivity, project planning, all of that, because when your brain feels like a complete bin fire on the inside, it's kind of a comfort to just put order and structure to things. The other thing that I was missing, which is absolutely classic ADHD, is that I made plans, but I very rarely followed through with those plans. And that's been a massive contributor to the decline of my self-esteem. And I know loads of you feel the same way, right? Like, I've said that I'll do the thing, why can't I just do the thing? And if that is another one of my taglines for ADHD, there you go. But the problem with that mixed love-hate relationship with planning with us is that it never really then serves the right purpose, because what we end up doing is over-planning and over-structuring ourselves to give ourselves comfort and to manage the ups and downs, chaotic feeling and sense of energy that we have. We go, right, the way that I need to like tackle that beast, I always think of it as like wrestling an alligator. The way that we need to wrestle that alligator is by like giving it a strict schedule and putting these things in place that are very rigid. But then this is also where we set ourselves up for failure, because we don't like rigid. I say we, I know that's a massive generalization, but you get me. If you don't get it, it's fine. This isn't you, but if you do get me, then I'm referring to you. But then very quickly we feel suffocated by that structure. We don't want to do it. We just want to like rebel and lash out and run wildly into the woods. That's how I feel anyway. I'm like, I've pushed myself into this structure that now I just don't even want to look at, like get away from me. And it's very much an all or nothing mindset that traps us. And the other thing that I think we're missing quite a lot, and I see this with a lot of the coaching clients that I work with, is we expect so much of ourselves beyond what is even neurotypical standards, right? Because we can't follow through on what we feel is like a basic plan that we've put in place. We expect that we'll always be able to follow a plan all of the time, and it just isn't how life is, right? Life is unexpected, it throws things at you, and we have completely unrealistic, unhealthy expectations of ourselves that don't even stand up to neurotypical standards, let alone the ways in which actually work much better for our brains. So first of all, I'm going to give you an example of how I have structured/not structured and planned my time for the next 3 months. And through that, I'm going to explain how you can reframe what planning is so that it is helpful for you rather than just another ADHD inadequacy stick to beat yourself with. So behind me on the wall here, I have that is, ooh. Behind the wall here, I have a blank calendar. That's how I love to do it, you know, where you can just fill in your own numbers and stuff for January, February, March. So I sat down before Christmas and I planned out what the first 3 months of the year would look like. I planned that I would do a video every Sunday. I planned in my non-negotiable deadlines, like I have some freelance work where I'm accountable and it needs to be done by a certain time. Put those in there, put some events in there that I'm doing. And then I also planned in there a program that before Christmas I was planning to create and release, because I want to do some more like self-paced online programs for you all, right? And that's still something that I want to do. Put it all in there. New Year rolls around and I'm looking at the plan, and despite it making perfect sense before Christmas, the break seems to have just smushed over any awareness of who I am or what life is. So it takes me a good week to just get my head back into where I'm at and what the plan is. Now, if you watch my video earlier this month on consistency, you'll realise that by the first week of January, I was like, why do we have a video every week on there? That is not the vibe that I'm going for this year. We're going for commitment, not consistency. We are going for doing the work, not the work has to look like this at this specific time. So I took that off the plan. I also looked at the plan and was like, do I have time to create and launch this program? I don't know. And at the moment, I'm erring on the side of caution. So I'm under planning and under scheduling myself. And then if I have the whimsy to create something, go for it. But I just took it off the plan. And it's still there. All the work is still there. And I will come back to it. But it's not going to happen this month. And I don't really know for next month. So what I would have done in years gone by is being like, I can't believe it's the first week of January. I've already failed on my plan to commit to a video every week. I've already failed on the fact, again, here's another program that I've half created and not released, right? There's all of this legacy of failure. I could look at that and be like, the plan was a waste. I failed at the plan. Disregard the plan. What's the point of the plan? And that is the most important question to ask yourself. Planning isn't always or doesn't have to be about figuring out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, or how you're going to do it. For me, doing this plan had 3 purposes. Number 1, dealing with overwhelm. I was coming into the year with a whole year that I'm looking down the barrel of, with complete autonomy as to how I choose to spend my time and figure out my business objectives and what work I'm going to do, and that is overwhelming. So for me, if all I had got from creating this plan was to just manage my overwhelm, look at all of the pieces of work that I had and put them into a place, and then even if I didn't even look at the plan again or follow it, that serves a purpose in itself. I felt better and less overwhelmed because I'd created the plan. The second, and very related point to that, is it gives me a sense of comfort and control. If I know what's coming up, if I know roughly what I want it to look like, I feel better. And so much, I think, of ADHD and procrastination and not being able to get started is being stuck in paralysis because we feel overwhelmed or because we feel out of control. So again, if the only thing you get from making a plan is to feel more in control and to feel reassured about what's coming, that kind of serves a purpose in itself. And lastly, finally, and I think a hugely important one when it comes to things like time blindness, is it helps me work out what is possible. Note that I didn't say it helps me work out what I'm going to do, because it doesn't need to be necessarily very prescriptive. Yes, it's important that I have things in there that I'm aiming for, but it helps me work out what is possible for me to do in those 3 months. With time blindness, that can be tricky because what is 3 months? But it's a damn sight better than just having no concept of what's coming up and how you might slot that into your week. So more than anything, when I looked at that and figured out, okay, I need roughly this many days a week for clients, this many days for YouTube, this many days for my freelance projects, and then I realized that I actually only have like half a day to a day left to work on other stuff. That's what made me go, is this course possible? Now, in the height of it, I was like, absolutely, we're going to throw it out there. But I sat with it, I revisited the plan, and then I looked and I thought, I don't know if it is possible, so we're going to say no, see how these few weeks go, and then maybe plan it in later. Don't get caught up in feeling that just because you have deviated from a plan, that you failed, right? Like, change does not mean failure. Stopping something does not mean failure. If anything, it makes you more adaptable, more able to make decisions that are aligned with what it is that you want to do, because you're being conscious and open to the fact that the plan might change. And ask yourself the question, what is the purpose of me creating this plan? And know that the purpose alone can be to reduce overwhelm, to give a sense of comfort and control, and just to work out what is possible for what's coming up. One of the video ideas that I had is to actually take you through how I plan my week. I recorded it for you last week, but in classic fashion. The act of recording it made it really complicated because I was trying to add structure to something that didn't need structure, and then I got in a tiz about it. Classic. So I do want to do that for you. Let me know in the comments if you think that'd be helpful. It's kind of just it will be a very all over the place but organic and natural run through as to how I take my what am I achieving this month to what am I doing this week / today in a flexible manner, because remember, you do not need to be. I'm imagining like Houdini, like you're the Houdini and the plan is the straitjacket chains. You probably knew that though from the actions, right?